We often find ourselves in those quiet spaces in life, don't we? Times where we're just waiting.
Yeah, waiting for something. Healing, maybe.
Or resolution to a tough situation, or, trying to figure out the next step.
It really is just a fundamental part of being human, that experience of waiting.
It truly is.
And today, for this deep dive, we want to look at those times, not just as, like, empty delays.
Or not just dead time.
Exactly. But as periods that could actually be filled with real purpose, potential for growth.
It's easy to just feel stuck, though, like it's just a void.
It is. But maybe there's a deeper way to understand it, especially through faith.
Because being in that waiting place, it can be incredibly challenging.
Oh, absolutely. Your patience just gets stretched so thin.
And your trust, too, especially in those, what you called in-between seasons.
Well, there's wisdom that speaks right into that, doesn't it? Like Psalm 27.14.
Ah, yes. Wait for the Lord.
Be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord.
That be strong and take heart part, it really stands out.
It does. It suggests waiting isn't, just sitting around passively.
It's active. It takes something from us. Courage. Strength.
Inner strength, definitely.
Yeah.
And courage. It's a posture we need to adopt.
It's not just standing still, is it? It implies real effort, resilience, maybe?
That's a good way to put it. Resilience we have to sort of cultivate during those delays.
And it's so natural when things aren't happening on our timeline to wonder if we've been missed, forgotten even.
That feeling is very real. But there's this principle, this idea to hold on to. God's delays are not his denials.
That's a powerful thought, a comforting one in uncertain times.
It can be.
So if delays aren't necessarily rejections, then what is happening? What might be going on beneath the surface?
Well, often these times of waiting, they're actually times of intense inner work.
Inner work.
Yeah. It might not look like anything's happening from the outside, but inside. That's where character gets shaped, hearts are refined.
And maybe where we learn to depend more.
Exactly. A deeper dependence gets cultivated. You can think of it as preparation.
Preparation for what's next.
Partly, but also preparation within us, making us ready.
So it really demands a shift in perspective then, moving from frustration.
Right. Away from, why is this taking so long?
Towards seeing some kind of purpose in it.
Precisely. Viewing waiting not just as an inconvenience, but as a time of formation.
Formation, I like that.
It makes it feel less like wasted time and more like, almost like holy ground.
Holy ground, a place where God is actively working, even if we don't see it.
That's the idea. A significant sacred time.
And we see this play out in people's lives, don't we? These aren't just nice ideas.
No, not at all. Think about that story, the woman in Kenya.
Oh, yes, who is ill for such a long time, over a decade.
Over a decade, before she finally received that life-saving surgery. I think it was 2025.
Imagine living with that uncertainty, that hardship for so long.
It's hard to fathom. But her faith through it all, that's what's remarkable.
What did she say afterwards? I remember it being quite profound.
She said, I cried and prayed so many nights. You can feel the pain in that.
Yeah.
But, she said, I knew God hadn't forgotten me.
Wow. To hold on to that belief through everything.
That enduring faith, it became a huge source of encouragement for so many people who heard her story.
It really shows that perseverance, that trust, even when things are incredibly difficult.
It does. And then there's that other story, the couple in the U.S.
The ones facing infertility.
Yes, for nearly 8 years. That's a long, long time to hope and wait.
8 years. You can only imagine the emotional roller coaster, the moments of despair, surely.
Absolutely. But then their path took an unexpected turn. Adoption.
Right. They adopted 2 siblings.
And it wasn't their original plan, obviously, but it led to this incredible joy, this family they now have.
It just shows how sometimes the plan unfolds in ways we could never have predicted.
Exactly. But always, ultimately, for good. Their answered prayers looked different than they expected, but the joy that followed the waiting was immense.
Both those stories really seem to highlight this idea that the waiting is never wasted.
That's a key takeaway. It's never just empty time.
Even when it feels silent, like nothing's happening.
God is always working in that silence, building something, building a testimony, you could say, right there in the tension.
A testimony in the tension, that's powerful. So even when we can't see the progress...
Progress is happening.
Yeah.
A deeper story is being written.
But let's be honest, why is it so hard? Waiting. We touched on it, but it feels important to acknowledge.
Oh, it is important. I think a big part is the uncertainty, isn't it?
Definitely. Not knowing how or when things will resolve.
And that feeling of not being in control.
Mm-hmm.
We like to have control, or at least feel like we do.
True. And then there's just the delay of our desires, the
Yeah.
things we long for, healing, answers, connection.
All of that makes it tough. But from that faith perspective, we're exploring.
Yes.
That very difficulty, that challenging space, that is where the opportunity lies.
Opportunity for what?
For spiritual growth.
Hmm.
For strengthening that inner character we talked about. For developing a reliance that's maybe deeper than we had before.
So the encouragement then is what? To actively trust.
Actively trust in God's timing, yes.
Mm.
And to try and embrace the personal growth even when it's uncomfortable.
And hold on to hope. Stay rooted in his promises.
Exactly. Remain anchored in those promises during the waiting seasons. Because truly understanding the heart behind potential delays, it changes how we experience them.
It shifts everything.
It really does.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, what's the main thing we want people to carry with them, especially if they're in a waiting season right now?
I think the core truth is this. When God says wait, he's not simply withholding something good from you.
Okay.
He's preparing you, preparing the circumstances around you, preparing the path ahead. It's a time of active preparation, not passive delay.
That reframes it completely. It offers real hope.
It does.
So for you listening, maybe take a moment to reflect. What is it you're waiting for in this particular season of your life?
And maybe ask, how can I use this time, this in-between space?
How can you use it to grow closer to God? To allow that inner work, that preparation to actually happen?
Because the trust is that, even in the quiet, even in the tension, there's a purpose unfolding.
These times of waiting, they are challenging, no doubt about it.
Undeniably.
Yeah.
But they can lead to unexpected fulfillment, unexpected blessings, a deeper understanding maybe of the bigger picture.
So the final thought is really hold on to that trust. Trust the process. Trust the plan unfolding.
Hold fast to that trust.